much. I appreciate that. It's very humbling. This was the hardest part, was when they would introduce me, and that's what I was telling Marco about. This would be the hardest part coming up here, because I am humbled. I want to thank everyone for coming out to support me. It's nice to see so many friends, family members, and hopefully colleagues down in Annapolis that have come out here tonight. It's an honor to step out and run for office and to hopefully one day serve as your state delegate. I want to thank my wife especially, if you'll stand. When I told her that I wanted to run for office, she had about 150, maybe 200 questions. Most of them, what do I have to do? And I appreciate the fact that she's had to step out of her comfort zone. And she's doing it again tonight, right here by my side, and I very much appreciate that. First thing I want to talk about is why I'm running. I look at my son and my daughter, and I'm devastated that they may have no chance at the American dream. Instead, they'll be paying off our debt. And I'm ashamed that for the first time in our country's history, ours is the generation that is turning the country and state over to the next generation in worse shape than we inherited it. These kids that you'll see coming up on the screen now, each have a $53,000 noose tied around their neck as they enter the world. That's their share of the national debt. The son should not be held accountable for the sins of the father, but they're going to be unless we as a generation take on our responsibility. I see a country and a state that thinks the government is the solution to all of society's ills. I see a country and a state that's implemented a nanny state system that is simply unsustainable. In Maryland, you're financially better off living on government assistance than taking a job that would pay you over $30,000 a year. In fact, that number is over $35,000 a year before you would just break even. We cannot continue this. We can't keep kicking the can further down the road and leaving our problems for our children to fix. It's supposed to be the other way around. They're depending on all of us. We all need to wake up and work together to fix this mess we find ourselves in. Look at those faces. Do they deserve to live their lives working to pay off our debts? We need to reach out to our neighbors, settle our differences, forgive what needs to be forgiven, and find good in each of us, and find common ground where we can work together and solve the problems that we face. There's a lot of good servants in this room tonight. They go down to Annapolis each and every year, and they fight for you in a one-party system that's failing us. And I want to join them. I want to have their back, and I want to give you a voice in Annapolis. Why else am I running? It's simple. I like helping people. I've been trying to do things like this for my community since I gave up my selfish stage of life, which unfortunately lasted a little longer than maybe it should have. Started when I took my first coaching job at Havre de Grace High School back in 1998, coaching girls basketball. I realized I had an important role to play in their lives, and it changed who I was and who I focused on in my life. I've coached, this will be my 16th year coming up, and probably my last year. And it's been an honor and a privilege to have coached and mentored over 300 kids who, many now are great members of our community doing great things. I've also been honored to help so many young people see a future in education that they may never have thought possible in my work at Harford Community College in admissions. I'm thrilled when I can help a youngster who doesn't see a very bright future for themselves and show them how education can make a difference in their lives. Beats any number that they can put on my paycheck. I've also been a business owner in this community. I've gone through the struggles of endless state regulations and burdensome taxes. I understand the environment that business owners struggle through just to try to be competitive with their neighbors in Delaware, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. I've also been honored to have helped struggling families in the Maryland area have joy at Christmas time by founding the Shooting Santa's Foundation. I'm proud to say we've raised nearly $250,000 over the last 15 years. We help 18 to 20 families each year, and now we've started to rebuild houses for families who have no way to pay for very, very needed repairs. So this just kind of seems like a normal next step, a bigger way to help people. And already, without being elected, we've begun to work on a program to strengthen marriages in the community in the district that I'm hopefully going to be working in, with pastors in the area. It's been really cool to get out into communities, knock on doors, and work to find solutions to real problems. I can only imagine how much we will all be able to do if I'm elected. See, this is what I believe that God is calling me to do. I've always had a dream of being a college basketball coach one day. But I think God's calling me away from this dream. And it was confirmed to me at a recent church service at Central Christian. They were doing a series called At the Movies. And I think that day was A Field of Dreams was the movie that we were delving into. And the one quote that stood out to me, it said, you got to give up your dreams to reach your destiny. That sealed it. I knew God was calling me to serve, and I hope I'll get that chance in November of 2014. If I go to Annapolis as your servant, I'll go down there seeking solutions. I think I have some, but by no stretch do I think I have all the answers. But as Ross Perot once said, I don't need to be the smartest man in the room, I just need to know who is. That's how we're going to find solutions to our problems. The people don't care about Republicans or Democrats, they just want solutions. And if I don't have the answer, I just need to know who does. And no matter whether they have a D or an R next to their name, I need to stand tall with them and be part of the solution. This is no time for division. Mr. O'Malley and his self-serving policies, setting himself up for a 2016 presidential run, don't worry, he's polling less than 1% nationally. He's done nothing but divide. You can
But taxing at a higher rate than that.
He's done nothing but divide. It's going to be a new day down in Annapolis and a brighter future for our kids when Mr. Lawler or Mr. Craig take over in Annapolis and provide real leadership. Where will I stand on the issues? First and foremost, we need tax cuts across the board for people and businesses. In April of 2013, Maryland lost approximately 6,000 jobs. Good news, we gained 2,000 government jobs. Bad news, that means we lost 8,000 private sector jobs. Businesses are leaving Maryland for more competitive business climates in Delaware, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. And now if you've been watching TV, they're about to leave for Texas. We can't get mad at companies for leaving our state or our country. We need to be competitive with neighboring states and countries around the world. We can't place such a high tax burden on businesses that they're forced to leave. Private industry is what drives this economy, provides jobs for all of us. We can't grow our economy on government jobs, because for every government job we create, our tax dollars have to go up to pay that salary. That's simply unsustainable. Our governments have a responsibility to be fiscally sound enough that they can provide a competitive economic climate for businesses in this state to thrive. Maryland's a great state, full of tremendous natural resources and opportunities for people to raise a family and enjoy what Chuck Thompson called the land of pleasant living. But our one-party government is making it impossible to conduct business or live here affordably. We need to lower taxes on businesses to the level of our surrounding states. We kind of put ourselves behind the 8 ball. We may have to lower taxes below our surrounding states to bring the businesses back in. And hopefully they'll come in and hire hard-working folks who love our state and want to stay here if they can afford it. It's a travesty to have an unemployment rate rising over 7%, and that is double what it was 7 years ago when Mr. O'Malley took over. And that's in a state that has so many government jobs. Our state unemployment should be somewhere around 3%. But the real problem that is looming, that not many people are talking about, is the inevitable federal government contraction. With a federal debt of $17.6 trillion and climbing by $2 to $3 billion a day, D.C. will have to contract the size of government, or like Detroit, go bankrupt. The debt in Detroit on every citizen, including children, was $28,000. The debt of every citizen in the United States is $53,000. You think we're in trouble? If you think the furlough was bad, estimates are that the federal government will have to contract by 21% to balance the books and pay off the debt. With our dependency on government jobs here in Maryland, we're going to be devastated unless we can restore the private sector. On education, we spend the second most of any country in the world on our school systems, yet we don't get an acceptable return on investment. Our schools in Harford County rank very high, in a state that ranks #1 in the country. Years ago, that might have meant something. But as we know, our country's schools have plummeted in the world rankings. Being #1 no longer is something to write home about. The U.S. now ranks 23rd in the world in science. We continually lowered standards, taught our students to pass standardized tests, and watch classroom discipline all but disappear. It's no wonder we rank so low in the world. In math, we rank 25th. But there's one place that we rank high: self-esteem. U.S. students rank #1 in the world. Let's stop lowering our standards so we can tell ourselves what a great job we're doing. We need to get back to what has always worked in our classrooms: strong math and science curriculum. Add in there a new focus on foreign language, a learning environment that does not tolerate violence, intimidation, bullying, or disruption to students who want to learn. Our children face a global economy of 7 billion people who are their competition for high-paying jobs. Key to the American dream is a first-rate education, not a false sense of self-worth. We owe this to our kids. On the Second Amendment, I would stand by any legislation that takes guns out of criminals' hands and makes them pay a more substantial price for carrying illegal weapons. Problem is, none of the gun control legislation that has been proposed or passed in this country or state has done anything to address this. I'll be honored to cast my votes to protect the Second Amendment to our Constitution. Legal gun owners should not be the target of feel-good legislation that does nothing to address the issues of crime. Too many lawmakers pass legislation that they can take back to their constituents to get reelected, when in reality it's only made the problem worse. We got plenty of laws in the books that will prevent folks who shouldn't get guns from getting them. On the state of politics in our country and our state, the conservative message is a good one, but many people will not listen to it. I see conservatives constantly talking about what they're against instead of what they're for. We have a lot of good ideas if we'll take the time to explain it to people in great detail. Nationally, our politicians and the media seem to be driving a wedge between all of us. They've chosen sides. They want us to choose sides, and many have. Never since the Civil War have we been so divided. The Democrats are not the enemy. Apathy is the enemy. We are strongest when we're united. Our one-party leaders down in Annapolis speak of unity but can't resist the powers that persist in our current political climate. They cave into pressure from party leaders. Many fall prey to the lust for power. They forget about us, what's best for our country and state. They come from all walks. How do we solve it? I think of a sign that hung over George Steinbrenner's desk. And I know, I'm an Oriole fan too, and I didn't like him very much, but God rest his soul. And the sign said, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. We got a lot of great leaders in this room here. Not everybody is going to step out and try and lead. We need a lot more followers. So pick one. It's a lot of great people in this room tonight. And follow them. Because Annapolis has a lot of people that get in the way of progress. We need to get them out. The left and the right. We pit neighbor against neighbor, brother against brother, poor against rich, black against white. The future of our country and state rests with all of us who stand proudly in the middle, just simply wanting to do what is right for all of us and not a select few. It was Martin Luther King Jr. who said, "The time is always right to do the right thing. Today is that day to do the right thing." The far right, the far left, they seem to get the microphones because they say the craziest stuff. That sells newspapers and gets you to tune in. But they don't represent us. People are falling prey to apathy. The stakes are too high. Go to the ballot box. Vote for people who bring solutions to the table, not personal attacks on their opponent. Vote for people who listen more than they speak. Vote for people who want to stand up and say, this ends today. Vote for people who don't see party or color or gender or race. Cast a vote that's about solutions to real problems. Cast a vote for somebody who's going to reach across the aisle and silence political division. Cast a vote for somebody who's going to reach out their hand to help his fellow man get back up on his feet, not wallow in dependence. Cast a vote for somebody who represents the 70 to 80% of us who are in the middle, who don't care what party you represent or what skin color you are. Cast a vote you can be proud of this time. I hope you will find me worthy to serve you. I promise to make you proud. There's so many who've given up. They say the problems are too big to fix. I guarantee you I will never give up, because I can't look at my kids, not in their eyes, and give up, and I don't think you can either. When times are the toughest, that's when we are at our best. Our problems may seem insurmountable, but Americans never quit. We were founded on that principle. We won the Revolutionary War, a war of attrition, because we never quit, and the British did. We never gave up on liberty and freedom, and we can't now. Inspire your neighbors to get involved. Because when the times are the toughest, that's when we rise up, we conquer the challenge. Don't give up. I never will. Stand tall, stand up with me in Annapolis, and let's get this thing turned around. Thank you.